Hi everybody, I am sitting on the floor at my parents' house with the whiteboard I borrowed from my dad, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how diamond puzzles work. I don't know, tell me below when you make your own at the end of this video, tell me if you've seen them before, like if you've done this before or not. So the way a diamond puzzle works is there's four numbers that are in a kind of like diamond shape. And people call them their X because they're usually written in this X, but it's going to kind of make a diamond shape with the where the numbers go. So there'll be a number on top, like 24 or something, and that number is a product. It's a number that you can multiply two other things to get that number. So there's a couple of different options for this. Like 24 could be 1 times 24, or it could be 2 times 12, or it could be 3 times 8, or it could also be 4 times 6. So 4 different possibilities for what could be the two factors, the two things that multiply to give me 24. Whatever it is though, those two numbers go on the sides. The two factors go on the sides. So let's see, in this one I'm going to have it be 4 and 6. So 4 times 6 makes 24. And then those two numbers add up to a sum that gets written on the bottom. So these two numbers multiply to the top and they add to the bottom. Multiply to the top, add to the bottom. So if we're going to like formally sort of record that pattern, you have two numbers, A and B, on the sides. And those two numbers are the factors, the things that multiply to give us a number on the top. So the top is going to be A times B. And then these two numbers, whatever numbers they are, that's why we're using letters to represent. It goes for anything. These two numbers would add up, so it'd be A plus B on the bottom. And you've been hearing me say these words that you probably remember. We've used terminology for what you get from multiplying things together or for adding things together. So when you have two numbers, any two numbers, and you multiply them together, or two things, whatever things, and you multiply them together, you get a product. So this is going to be a product with an O. Wow. Product. So A times B makes a product. And if we go A plus B, if we add them together, we get a sum. We did some of this before with much more complicated stuff where we had like, 2x plus 5 or something times like 3x minus 7. And those were more complicated factors and we had to put parentheses around them when we multiplied them. If you have just a simple one thing times another thing and they're not like many pieces to it, you don't have to put parentheses around it. You can just write those two numbers with the dot in between to show that they're multiplied. Okay, so we have products, we have sums. Did you know that there's actually names for the things that you multiply to get the product and for the things that you add up to get a sum? So I think we've said this, I know we've said this before. These are called factors. So A and B, the two things that you multiply together to get a product are the factors of that product. So A is a factor and B is a factor because A times B makes that product of A times B. There's also, we don't talk about this as much, there's a name for the things that you add up to get the sum. And it has the word add in it. It's called an addend. So A and B are factors of the product of the number on top, but they're addends, they add up. They're the pieces to make the sum on the bottom. So when you go A plus B, those are each addends. And then A plus B together makes the full sum. And we can leave it as A plus B, or we could, sometimes those are things that we could simplify. Okay, so you can kind of see that diamond shape there with the four numbers. That's why people call them a diamond puzzle. And usually when you get one, it's a puzzle with like a piece missing. So like you might have got something with 24 on the top. So we know it multiplies, my two numbers multiply to 24, but then maybe they add up to 11. Can you figure out, can you look at my list and think what would be the two numbers that multiply to 24? Here's all the possibilities for multiplying to 24 and adding to 11. So it'd have to be 3 and 8. So bam, I solved that puzzle. Or maybe instead, maybe my product is still 24, but my sum is negative 14. How does that work? Can you have a negative? Sure can. You can still have a positive product if you had negative things that multiplied. If you have a negative times a negative, you'll still get a positive product. So this could be a negative times a negative. So -2 times -12 would still give me -24. Sorry, positive 24. Negative times a negative still makes it positive. But those two add-ins, if you have a negative plus another negative, you just get more negative. So I get a -14 for my sum. We could try some other combinations. We could have like one of them be negative, one of them be positive, then I'd have a -24 on the top. You can make a lot more of these, but what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to make your own diamond with 20 on top. I'd like you to make me 2 of them. So think of 2 different possibilities. Your product has to be 20. So the 2 numbers on the sides have to multiply to 20. But you come up with 2 different ones that will have different sums. Making a list like this could help you like think of some options, maybe throw in a negative in there if you want to. That would be cool. And show me what you got. All right. I can't wait to see the diamond puzzles that you did. I promise they will connect to something later, but really they're just kind of a fun thing to do every year where they're pretty straightforward. People usually like them. I miss you all. Have a great time, and let me pause this video and go call the puppy. All right. So this is the puppy. Here you go. Yes, yes, yes. Her name is Katara. She's my sister's dog, but I am the dog aunt. Yeah. All right. Have a good week. I hope you have little moments of joy like I have had with Katara.